This is a scary story that happened in the woods. We heard it from one of our writers who wanted to remain anonymous, so we'll refer to him as John. We were out camping and had just gotten settled for the night when my friend and I heard what sounded like whispering in the trees. It was really eerie because it sounded like someone was right outside of our camp. We tried to ignore it and went back to playing cards, but then we started hearing what sounded like screams in the forest. Big guttural screams. My friend and I looked at each other, then grabbed our flashlights and went to check it out. As we walked through the trees, my flashlight beam caught something that looked like a set of eyes shining back at us from between the trunks. We stopped and stared at them, and they blinked slowly. Then they vanished. We continued walking until we found the source of the noise. It was a small clearing, maybe 20 yards wide, and there was nothing in it. My friend and I stood there listening, but all we could hear was the wind rustling through the leaves. We stayed for a few minutes, but not seeing or hearing anything else, we decided to head back to the car. The next morning, we went back to the clearing, but again there was nothing there. And that was the last time we ever saw those eyes. The following week, we read in the local newspaper that a hiker had gone missing in the area. The police suspected that he had fallen into a ravine and were still searching for his body. To this day, we don't know if the man was ever found, but we have to wonder if those were his eyes that we saw in the darkness. If you want to listen to more terrifying tales from around the world, stay tuned for more stories. And now let's continue with the video. It's late at night. You're sitting in a cabin deep in the woods. You can hear the wind howling outside, and every creak of the old house makes you jump. Suddenly, a floorboard above you creaks loudly, and you hear footsteps near your bedroom. You slowly get up to investigate and find a door in the darkness with eyes peering through the cracks. What do you do? Hey there, welcome to another episode of 3 True Scary Stories that Happen in the Woods. I'm your host. Tonight's episode is titled The Cabin in the Dark, and before we begin, I would like to say a special thank you to our supporters whose names you can see on screen right now. If you would like to see your name on the screen and show the world your support for our channel, go ahead and join our membership program today by clicking the join button below. Tonight's stories are from Reddit users Mr. Creepy Mustache, Purple Hyacinth, and Little Miss Starry Eyed. I was backpacking in the Beartooth Wilderness in the early 90s with a good friend of mine. 3 days into the hike, we had only seen one other couple. On the third night, at around 4 a.m., we were awoken in our tent to what sounded like screams in the forest. Big guttural screams. Obviously, we were freaked out sitting in the tent, not knowing what was out there. Then we started hearing what sounded like hail for about 10 minutes, followed by heavy footsteps near our tent. My friend and I started yelling and making tons of noise, and the commotion outside the tent slowly came to a halt. In the morning after, of course, not sleeping at all, we unzipped the tent to the creepiest scene. All around the tent were thousands of little pebbles that were not there the evening before. And surrounding the tent in a near-perfect circle were also 20 or so 100 to 150-pound boulders. My friend and I noped out of there and have never returned to that area. This was posted in the No Sleep subreddit and received over 70,000 upvotes. On the first day of summer vacation, I was going hiking with a group of friends. We were all 16 years old. We got lost on purpose and intended to spend the night in the woods. We brought a hatchet to chop down a tree to make a shelter. As we were walking, we saw a clearing with an old dilapidated log cabin. There was no windows or doors, just walls made of logs. On the front wall was a large symbol carved into the wood, sort of like a pentagram. We thought it would be funny to try to break down the door and enter the cabin. However, it was boarded up. We started to leave, but then decided to climb up onto the roof of the cabin and look inside. The cabin was empty and in terrible shape. We thought we'd take a quick peek inside the boarded up attic space. We removed the boards to reveal a pitch black hole. One of my friends, being the idiot that he is, decided to crawl into the hole. We told him not to move so we could figure out how to help him get down. He started moving around and fell through the rotten floorboards. He landed in a pile of leaves outside the cabin. We immediately ran to his aid, half expecting to see a wild animal running away. But no animal had been there. As he emerged from the hole coughing and covered in leaves, we noticed that the pentagram symbol carved into the front of the cabin was now upside down. He had knocked it off its hinges while crawling out. None of us had touched that cabin, and yet the symbol had somehow flipped itself upside down overnight. Needless to say, we did not stick around to find out what else was in that cabin. This was posted in the Let's Not Meet subreddit and received over 28,000 upvotes. One evening I was hiking alone in the Beartooth Wilderness in the early 90s. About an hour before sunset, I stopped to make camp for the night. As I was gathering materials for a campfire, I noticed what appeared to be a fresh deer trail leading into the trees from about 20 yards in front of my campsite. The trail was very faint and appeared to be from very large tracks. Not thinking much of it, I gathered my supplies and started a small fire. About 30 minutes later, I heard what sounded like heavy footsteps near my campsite. I stopped and listened. The footsteps came again. I slowly turned around and saw the glowing yellow eyes staring at me from about 20 feet away. They were low to the ground and coming from what appeared to be a large dog-like animal. I sat there frozen, not knowing what to do. The animal took a step forward and I screamed and threw a log at it. The animal yelped and disappeared into the darkness. Shaking and terrified, I gathered my things and ran to my car. Once I got home, I told my story to my roommate. He said, "You probably just saw a coyote." I argued that coyotes don't have such large paws and they don't stand on two legs. We looked it up online and couldn't find any reports of missing pets or livestock in the area. The only thing we could find was a report from 10 years earlier about a mountain lion sighting in the same area. This was posted in the Now Sleep subreddit and received over 46,000 upvotes. Thank you, Reddit users, Mercreepy Mustache, Purple Hyacinth, and Little Miss Starry-Eyed, for sharing these scary stories with us. And thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button and share it with a friend. If you want to submit a story, use the link in the description or pinned comment. And if you want to listen to more terrifying tales from around the world, subscribe for new episodes every Wednesday and Friday at 9 a.m. Arizona time. Until then, remember, Some things are better left in the dark. Subscribe and stay safe if you dare.